Vanakkam Bodhinatha.
Vanakkam Dohadeva. Welcome everyone. Weekly Zoom satsang. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Mabit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We want to do a little technical test before we get started here. Going to switch the background just for a minute. Appropriate. Murugan song, there we are, Nallur Temple, Jaffna.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, beautiful, it is. They've really come up a lot over the years. I'll just tell a story. We're checking the background quality here, and then I'll go back to the other background. When we first started going to Nallur Temple way back in 1969 was the first year Gurudeva took monks and devotees there. The road went right through the middle of it. So on the left side of the road you'd have the Palani shrine facing north, and then on the right side of the road was the rest of the temple. So devotees had to walk across the road, and of course if you're in a devotional mood it's very dangerous to walk across the road. So fortunately they acquired the road, and now the whole area is just the temple. So you don't have to worry about a car hitting you while you're pondering Murugan. Now we're back to the normal background. And we're ready to share screen. First topic. Okay, we should be looking at first topic. And our first topic is tolerance, a Hindu viewpoint. This is new material in rough draft form, tentatively scheduled for publisher's desk in the April 2022 issue. So we're getting ahead here, thanks to the pandemic. More stay-at-home time, more time to write publisher's desks. Well, this is a big topic in the U.S. I'm not sure how it is in other countries of the world, but it comes and goes, and right now it's come back again, the idea of racial intolerance in the U.S. So this gives a Hindu point of view on tolerance, which is important if you're involved in discussions talking about tolerance, to be able to know what the Hindu point of view is and speak about it confidently, or if you're dealing with children, your own, or teaching children, this concept can come up, and you want to be able to answer it clearly. Why are Hindus tolerant? The populations in many parts of the world are experiencing an ever-increasing diversity in their interpersonal interactions. This is due to increased immigration in some countries, more international travel, and of course the increased exposure on the internet to individuals of other religions, cultures, and ethnicities. Doesn't want to move forward. Some individuals are comfortable with this increasing diversity and can be described as tolerant individuals whose response to those who are different is to like and trust, befriend and help. Others are definitely uncomfortable with the rise of diversity and can be described as intolerant individuals whose response to those who are different is to dislike and distrust, hate, and even inflict injury. Unfortunately, intolerance is the root cause of a significant amount of the violence in the world today. Lack of tolerance manifests in degrees. Let's start by defining the common terms used to describe a lack of tolerance in the order of the strongest to the mildest forms. And definitions are from dictionary.com, a new source. Seems to have some very good definitions. You'll see its logo here on the left. Hatred, intense dislike or extreme aversion or hostility. So that's the grossest form. Bigotry, stubborn and complete intolerance of any creed, belief, or opinion that differs from one's own. Intolerance, two definitions. First one, lack of tolerance, unwillingness or refusal to tolerate or respect opinions or beliefs contrary to one's own. Second, unwillingness or refusal to tolerate or respect persons of a different social group, especially members of a minority group. Then we get to the less severe forms here. Prejudice, unreasonable feelings, opinions, or attitudes, especially of a hostile nature, regarding an ethnic, racial, social, or religious group. And the least strong form, bias, particular tendency, trend, inclination, feeling, or opinion, especially one that is preconceived or unreasoned. And of course, what we're trying for is tolerance, a fair, objective, and permissive attitude toward those whose opinions, beliefs, practices, racial or ethnic origins, etc., differ from one's own. Freedom from bigotry. In Hinduism, tolerance is supported by a few key beliefs. Two key Hindu beliefs are the basis for Hinduism's tolerance of other religions. First belief is on the nature of God. Hinduism has a wide diversity of traditions, but followers of the different traditions respect one another and worship side by side in many temples. Through history, there arose four principal Hindu denominations: Saivism, Shaktism, Vaishnavism, and Smartism. To Saivites, the supreme is Shiva. Shaktas refer to the supreme as Shakti. To Vaishnavas, of course, he is Vishnu, and Smartas called the supreme being Brahman. The name is different, the tradition is different, but it is the same supreme being that is being worshipped by all Hindus. An ancient verse from the Rig Veda is often quoted in this regard. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. Truth is one, sages express it differently. So truth is one, sages express it differently, variously. In Saivism, of course, we have Tanadodaya Sivani Potri and Natavark Mirava Potri, which saying the same thing. He who is worshipped as Shiva in the Southland is worshipped elsewhere as Irevan, or elsewhere as God. So it's saying it's the same supreme being. That's what that statement is saying. We're worshipping Shiva and others are worshipping God, but it's just different names. Second belief is that there is no exclusive path, no one way for all. Hindus profoundly know that the God they worship is the same supreme being in whom peoples of all faiths find solace and peace. Since the inner intent of all religions is to bind man back to God, Hindus honor the fact that truth is one, paths are many. Ekam sat aneka patantaha. In India, where Hindus are the overwhelming majority, the rights of minority religions have always been honored. Hindus have welcomed, embraced, and lived peacefully among other religions for centuries. During those same centuries, Hinduism itself evolved into hundreds of strains, and thus Hindus are fully at home with many different traditions and viewpoints within their own faith. Hence, they are naturally tolerant of other religions, respecting the fact that each has unique beliefs, practices, goals, and paths of attainment, and not objecting when the doctrines of one conflict with those of another. Hindus readily accept the idea that it is not necessary, desirable, or even possible for everyone to hold the same beliefs. And certainly such differences should never be cause for tension, criticism, intolerance, or violence. In expressing religious tolerance, Hindus sometimes cite the verse, "Truth is one, paths are many," to assert that all religions are the same. In reality, all religions are not the same, nor is that indicated by this verse. So we don't want to say all religions are the same. They're quite different in their beliefs and practices. It's not what the quote means. It simply says that all religions revere the one truth, all believe in the one supreme being. Their beliefs and practices are different, their paths are distinct. Instead of saying all religions are the same, it is better to state that all religions are good. Hindus do not proselytize, meaning they do not try to convert members of other faiths to their own. Proselytizing is based upon the belief that one's religion is the only true religion, and everyone else should join it. Hindus hold the view that all faiths are beneficial. A devout Hindu is supportive of all efforts that lead to a pure and virtuous life, and will consider it unthinkable to dissuade a sincere devotee from his chosen faith. For those who don't know who's on the right, that's the Nalur Temple Adinam, Nalur Adinam Kartar. He lives right across from the Nalur Temple, which we saw at the beginning there, in Adinam. And this is in Sri Lanka, and there was an event for the Pope, so he was representing Hinduism. One of the leaders representing Hinduism, to be more precise. So here he is honoring the Pope, or Hinduism showing respect to Catholicism. They know that good citizens and stable societies are created from groups of religious people in all nations. While encouraging others to follow their chosen path with dedication, Hindus hold the Sanatana Dharma to be the fullest expression of religion and do accept sincere souls who seek entrance into Hinduism. Gurudeva gave this strong statement on seeking not to convert. Every instinct in Hinduism rebels against the doctrine which is oppressive or narrow-minded. Every instinct in Hinduism rejoices in tolerance and in acknowledgement of the many paths, even those that seem to contradict its own. When you believe that God is everywhere and all there is, whatever it is, try again. When you believe that God is everywhere and all there is, wherever it is, it becomes impossible to hate or injure or seek to aggressively convert others. Because God's inside. One key Hindu belief is the basis for Hindu tolerance of individuals of other races and ethnicities. It is the belief that we are all divine beings. It is a core belief that gives rise to tolerance of differences in race and nationality. And it is that all of mankind is essentially good, that we are all divine beings, souls created by God. Hindus do not accept the concept that some individuals are evil and others are good. I remember President Bush, after the World Trade Center attack, liked to talk about the excess of evil. I just kind of cringe when I hear that statement. It's saying some people are evil, but all of us are good. So that's not the Hindu point of view. The Hindu point of view is the divine is within everyone, no matter how violent they're acting, the divine is still in there. It's just really, really well hidden. Upanishads tell us that each soul is emanated from God as a spark from a fire. Then begins a spiritual journey which eventually leads back to God. All human beings are on this journey, whether they realize it or not. So when a Hindu sees a person whom others call bad or evil, he thinks to himself, this is a young soul acting in terrible ways, but one day in the course of many lives he will realize his errors and adhere to Dharma. So that's an important point of view, is just because someone is a terrorist or criminal, that's just where they are in this life. We want to see them in future lives moving up in consciousness and doing less harm to start with. The Hindu practice of greeting one another with namaste, worshiping God within the other person, is a way this philosophical truth is practiced on a daily basis. The idea that we are all divine beings is taken one step further in the adage, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is a family. This statement is part of a verse from the Maha Upanishad. The full verse reads, one is a relative, the other stranger, say the small-minded. The entire world is a family, live the magnanimous. Very nice verse. It is interesting to note that this verse of Maha Upanishad is engraved in the entrance hall of the Parliament of India and is still being quoted in speeches today. Everyone is family-oriented. Most of what we do is for the purpose of benefiting the members of our family. We want them to be happy, successful, and religiously fulfilled. And when family is defined to be the whole world, it is clear that we wish everyone in the world to be happy, successful, and religiously fulfilled. So we make the whole world a family. That's something kids can understand. The popular Hindu prayer that captures this sentiment is Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. May all people be happy. One last thought. A subtle form of bias is to think in terms of stereotypes. This is problematic in that stereotypes stand in the way of seeing the distinct qualities in a specific individual. Common stereotypes would be Chinese are good businessmen or Germans are efficient and precise. And recently, at least in the United States, a new stereotype is that Asian Indians are all really smart. Of course, not all Chinese are good at business, not all Germans are efficient and precise, and not all Asian Indians are really smart. Perceiving others without resorting to stereotypes honors the unique qualities of each individual. That's a nice statement. That's how we honor someone, is we actually see them as they are, and we don't see them as a stereotype. No, even good stereotypes are not something we want to use, and second topic will bring that up. In conclusion, Hinduism's strong support for tolerance is an aspect of Hinduism that is important for all Hindus to clearly understand, most especially younger Hindus, and share with others open to these ideas. And we have a great statement here from Gurudeva. Speaking at the Global Forum for Human Survival, Development and Environment in Moscow in 1990, Gurudeva stressed the need to teach tolerance to the children. Teach all children tolerance, openness to different ways of life, different beliefs, different customs of dress and language. Instill in them an informed appreciation and a joyous reverence for the grand diversity we find around us. Oh, that's a beautiful statement. Though, as we started with in the beginning, it's greater diversity. That's the trend, more so in some countries than others, but it's true globally to some extent. And some people are comfortable with it and some are challenged with it. And this is Gurudev is saying, a joyous reverence. They should really enjoy it. Joyous reverence for the grand diversity we find around us. Like who wants to eat the same food every day for lunch, right? Everyone enjoys diversity. Second topic. Young Writer's article from the coming October issue of Hinduism Today. Rutvij Hole, 15 years old, Irvine, California, that's Southern California, an executive committee member of Americans for Equality PAC and a budding Hindu political activist. He's presently working with his local school district and a textbook company to change how Hinduism is depicted in education. He's a natural-born activist. So I'm just reading an excerpt that relates to Tolerance, Publisher's Desk. Calls it the Ravi era. He's talking about television. This is how Hinduism is depicted in the media. More specifically, Hinduism in the American media. The title of the article. The Ravi era, 2007 through 2015. Many people my age grew up with the TV sitcom Jessie with its Indian-American character Ravi, one of several adopted children under the care of Nanny Jessie. By this time, and in contrast to Apu of the Simpsons cartoons, representation of Hindus was broadening in both the number of shows in which Hindus appeared and the age groups targeted, so other notable characters emerged as well, such as Baljit from the Phineas and Ferb cartoon. As more Indians moved into the IT sector, began to win the spelling bees, every national one since 2008, and achieved much more in the U.S., a common theme emerged in their representations. Every single one of the characters in these shows was a nerd. They did very well in school, especially in math and science, and had little to no social life or athletic ability. New stereotype. One of the first representations of this stereotype was Baljit. In season 2, episode 14, he signs up for a summer rock class, assuming it is about geology, before learning it is about rock and roll. This makes him so mad he spends the class doing math. In the end, as he performs a rock song, he yells out the lyrics, "Somebody give me a grade and make it an A." The representation of Apu was universally panned as negative, especially in Hari Kondabolu's documentary, The Problem with Apu. Having all Indians as nerds in the Ravi area is, in my opinion, a two-edged sword. So this is one of the problems of stereotypes. On the one hand, this is in many ways a positive stereotype, something that people admire about our community, and I can't imagine many who mind being called intelligent. Such stereotypes inspire our people to be better, to get better grades. From personal experience, I can certainly tell you that it helped my test scores. On the other hand, try as they might, there are students in our community who cannot earn such grades. They may feel inferior since all Indians are meant to be smart, at least according to these shows. I've heard fellow students say, "I'm Indian, of course I'm in all honors," or something similar. Such stereotypes, especially since they are embraced by our own community, have been known to cause mental health problems, making this an important issue. At the same time, it may lead to resentment from other communities who feel that we are unfairly better off. This leads to discrimination both from individuals and through systemic programs such as racial preferences, which favor non-Asians over Asians in college admissions in the United States. So very interesting from a political activist 15-year-old point of view of the problem of positive stereotypes for the Asian Indian community in the U.S. Thank you very much.